From Kansas State University, this is Agriculture Today. Along with Samantha Bennett and student intern Kady Figge, I'm Jeff Wickman. We start off with the November edition of Statewide. K-State College of Agriculture Dean Ernie Minton joins Kady to discuss a variety of topics within the college and throughout Extension, including research, awards, and national titles. Then Kathy Bergren with the National Corn Growers Association provides an update on what they hope to see policy-wise with the newly elected Congress. And we end with this week's horticulture piece. K-State Research and Extension Horticulture Agent for Johnson County, Dennis Patton, explains how the Extension Master Gardeners of Johnson County were awarded the bid to host the 2023 International Master Gardener Conference in Overland Park. It's all just ahead on Agriculture Today over the K-State Radio Network. This is Agriculture Today. We start off the Thursday edition with K-State College of Agriculture Dean Ernie Minton with the November edition of Statewide, an opportunity to discuss what's happening in Extension and the College of Agriculture. Today, Dean Minton and Agriculture Today student intern Kady Figge cover a variety of topics, including a large grant for one of the Feed the Future labs at Kansas State, and a topic that's often hard to think about and even more difficult to talk about, farm succession.
Dean Minton, thank you so much for joining us today to update us on what happened in the college in November.
Kady, thank you so much for having me on today, and I'm excited to visit with you.
Awesome. So our first story that we wanted to cover today was one about a K-State student winning a World Food Prize Award. Can you tell us a little about that student?
Well, you know, this is a doctoral student in entomology, and, I think what I would say, in general about this work is it epitomizes the kind of thing that folks don't often think about that is part of our research function in the college. This one happens to be in our Department of Entomology, but training graduate students to become the next generation of scientists is a real important function of our research enterprise, and that's illustrated here in this particular story. So a really interesting story. Sabina Ronabat, I think I've got her name pronounced correctly, working on insect control in stored grains, and I think, it's a real nice example of not only an innovative idea and project, but also excellence in research in that particular department.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wonderful accomplishment. So next up, students, of course, are always busy leading the way in research here at K-State, but graduate students specifically are working hard in the area of pet food research at our university. Could you tell us a little bit about that subject?
Yeah, I'm really pleased that this story has showed up in this edition of Statewide. Our pet food manufacturing program is really a unique one with lots of opportunities for students who move through that program. This particular story highlighted the work of graduate students that were also highlighted at a conference that was recently held in Manhattan called, and this was creative, I thought, KibbleCon, which really brings together the university with industry professionals in the area of pet food, again, really highlighting the great work that's done there and the unique program that's housed at K-State in this particular area.
Absolutely. Very unique. I'm going to have to watch out for the next KibbleCon. That sounds very interesting. So our next topic that we'll be talking about is the Innovation Lab. Our K-State Innovation Labs always do great work, but recently they received a $750,000 award to study sorghum in Madagascar. Tell us a little bit about that research and what the hopes are that they want to achieve.
Well, this particular story is great, reminds us of the way that K-State, and I'll just spend just a second bragging a little bit more broadly about our success with USAID Feed the Future Labs. We're the only land-grant university in the United States that houses 4 of these labs, so that's notable, but they don't come about by accident. We are awarded these labs in areas where we have really deep expertise, and sorghum would be one of those. And so we view our work in sorghum as one that not only benefits the host countries, which the Sorghum and Millet Innovation Lab works in this case Madagascar, but also creates new innovation, new knowledge generation that ultimately benefits, that spills back into Kansas in the form of our work with sorghum and its importance in the state. And, of course, with its notable resistance to drought and its ability to get by on far less water maybe than other crops is important now and most likely in the future for Kansas as well.
Absolutely. Incredible work they're doing. Next, in the U.S., we know that many producers are starting to age out of day-to-day production, and because of that, many producers are looking for options for farm succession. Ashley Westerhold here at K-State in the Ag Transitions Office hopes to help with exactly that at upcoming farm transition conferences across the state. Could you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, this is a topic that has become certainly an important one that, in particular, our Department of Agricultural Economics has gotten engaged in and really developed expertise and some great extension programming in. I think those conferences are going to occur December 13, 14, and 15 in various locations throughout the state. And really, again, highlights, a topic that is not one that we necessarily want to think about, but is, a reality for producers who are approaching the age at which they need to think about slowing down and transitioning their farm to the next generation. So these are really very, very important elements of engagement through our extension work.
Next, Samantha recently had the honor of speaking with a few of these students from our next story and their coaches, and they were such a fun group, but also a very talented group. This team of Kansas 4-H'ers won the national contest in meat judging. Tell us about what this win really means for Kansas 4-H.
Well, it's really a terrific accomplishment on the part of these students. So just a lot of things that illustrate our real commitment to the land-grant mission, and that is one of those being 4-H and youth development. And the other thing that we find tremendously important in terms of leadership development in the college are extracurricular activities and experiential learning that competition teams really afford. And this meats judging experience for these youth is an example of that, where in addition to learning the subject matter, other ancillary skills for these youth are developed in terms of independent thinking, teamwork, creativity, and those kinds of skills. And obviously, this particular graduate student that worked with these youngsters did a great job helping them get through those skill sets and things that were needed to compete very favorably in that meats contest.
Absolutely. What an incredible accomplishment for those students.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely. Dean Minton, I cannot thank you enough for your time for this update. It's been so fun to hear about everything that's going on within the college recently.
I agree. It's fantastic, and really looking forward to folks taking a look at this issue of Statewide.
That's K-State College of Agriculture Dean Ernie Minton with the November edition of Statewide. And we'll close out this segment of Agriculture Today with a report on the many uses for hard red winter wheat, including as fish food. As Mary Marsh reports, Ecuador uses hard red winter wheat to feed shrimp, and in southern Chile, it's being used to feed salmon.
There is something fishy happening in Ecuador, but it is good growth opportunity in a market that already appreciates Kansas hard red winter wheat, thanks to the relationships built by Kansas Wheat and U.S. Wheat Associates, the wheat industry's export market development organization. One of the interesting stories that is a lot of high-protein hard red winter wheat is going to fish food, said Aaron Harries, Kansas Wheat Vice President of Research and Operations, who joined the U.S. Wheat staff for a series of crop quality seminars in South America in early November. In Ecuador specifically, they're using it to feed shrimp, and in southern Chile, they're using it to feed salmon. Aquaculture is a rapidly growing market in South America thanks to imports from an equally expanding Chinese market. Salmon are top feeders, so feed pellets must float so salmon can come to the surface and eat. Shrimp are the opposite. They are bottom feeders, but feed pellets still need to sink slowly. Hard red winter wheat fits the bill when helping with buoyancy and providing high protein content. They use high-protein hard red winter wheat because they want higher protein content for the fish food, Harry said. They can also use soybean meal, but the wheat has viscosity that makes the pellets float. So that's a market we'll certainly be exploring and making sure we're getting them the product they need to meet those needs. Fish food was a hot topic during the U.S. wheat crop quality seminars, but the main event featured the results of the 2021 Crop Quality Report, the latest in a series of reports by U.S. Wheat. Each year, the organization gathers thousands of samples throughout the harvest season and at export locations to analyze the wheat for flour and end-use products. These results are compiled into an overall report for all 6 wheat classes and broken down into individualized reports by wheat class. After the report is finalized, U.S. Wheat conducts crop quality seminars to dive deeper into the information with global customers like the ones Harry's participated in this November in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. Harry's also discussed prospects for next year's wheat crop and address challenges from the strength of the U.S. dollar, high competition from corn and soybean exports, problems on the Mississippi River, potential rail strikes, and other issues. While the seminars provide a wealth of information, they also allow State Wheat Commission staff, U.S. farmers, and U.S. wheat staff a chance to meet with the best customers for U.S. wheat. In Colombia, Harry's had the chance to reconnect with millers that had traveled to Kansas as a part of trade teams, some as recently as this past summer, and some from the earlier decade. These relationships, when combined with transparent crop quality data, help secure long-lasting, steady customers. Whether hard red winter wheat is destined for fish food or bread, the trading relationships built through this exchange of information help build lasting markets for Kansas wheat producers in South America. Learn more about how Kansas Wheat works with U.S. Wheat Associates to promote hard red winter wheat around the world at kswheat.com/international. With Kansas Wheat, this is Mary Marsh.
Thanks, Mary. Again, for more information, visit kswheat.com. This is Agriculture Today.
This is Agriculture Today. In light of an ongoing global energy crisis and growing concerns over climate threats, American farmers are looking to advance long-term energy solutions in a lot of ways. Joining us for a conversation on exactly that is Kady Bergren, the Director of Public Policy for the National Corn Growers Association. So, Kady, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we've had some elections recently take place here in the U.S., obviously, and as a result, a new group of congressmen and women will soon play a key role in policy decisions. So what specifically are the corn industry's priorities with this new Congress coming in?
Certainly on a number of issues for corn growers, whether that is the Farm Bill or trade. But, specifically to energy and environment, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more. Certainly looking to make sure that solutions that farmers contribute to, specifically ethanol and renewable fuels, are considered in the mix when we're talking about, improving energy policies that reduce energy costs, and really ways to help clean up transportation. We feel like, farmers, really stand behind the benefits of ethanol and biofuels contributing as a solution here.
You mentioned ethanol there, and we've seen a lot of volatility in gas prices this year due to many reasons, but one of them being really an imbalance in fuel supply and demand. So as Americans continue to pay more than they probably hope to at the pump, I know I am, how might ethanol play a role in providing some relief in that area?
We've already seen where ethanol has helped lower prices at the pump, particularly when we're talking about higher blends of ethanol, such as E15 and E85. Ethanol adds billions of gallons to the U.S. fuel supply every year, so that really helps reduce the demand for oil, which costs more, and makes more fuel available to consumers. On top of that, when we see retailers who are blending more ethanol kind of in addition to the standard 10%, such as E15, which drivers often see marketed as unleaded 88, through the summertime, consumers were saving in some places up to $1 per gallon on that unleaded 88. And they're continuing to save, even up to 30 cents a gallon now, even though gas prices have come down somewhat. So I think when we look at that, we really see the proof there has been at the pump, and drivers brought more of those higher ethanol blends over the summer and continue to, because they're saving money. And as an added benefit, those higher ethanol blends are also cleaner fuels that reduce emissions. So really a lot of benefits to go around there.
Absolutely. And we've talked a bit about sustainability here already, but obviously conservation and sustainability is very important in a lot of ways to our producers. So how are farmers associated with the National Corn Growers Association specifically looking to advance cleaner fuels?
I think what we have found out is the way that farmers produce their crops today, which is increasingly sustainable, they're using fewer inputs, more precise production practices. All of these really beneficial things that farmers are doing for their farms, for their soil quality, and for their businesses also have the impact of lowering the carbon intensity of corn and therefore lowering the carbon intensity of biofuels like ethanol. So that really kind of passes through the system and is really making those fuels better. So as farmers continue to improve and yields continue to go up, this really enables farmers to contribute on the feed side, food side, exports, but also to do more on ethanol and biofuels and make those even cleaner and more abundant fuels.
You mentioned the Farm Bill earlier, and when it comes to the Farm Bill, it's quickly approaching, more discussions on the table about that. Are there any major policy concerns specifically for corn producers regarding the Farm Bill?
Sure. I think for NCGA, we're really kind of in the midst of kind of going through that process with our grower members and state associations to develop those policy priorities. We're a grassroots organization, and so really going through that process. But I think some key themes that you will see from NCGA, I think first and foremost is really continuing to protect and enhance crop insurance. That's just a key risk management tool for producers. So I think you will see that kind of as at the forefront of our efforts around the Farm Bill, as well as improvements in the farm safety net and also improvements and expansion in export promotion programs, which certainly deliver a lot of benefits for farmers.
I think we've seen in the past year just how much exports can really support our producers and the prices that they see. So that's a key area for sure. Kathy, in terms of producers that are tuning in and listening, if they're looking for more information and wanting to stay up to date with what the National Corn Growers Association has going on, where can they find information regarding that?
Sure. You can get all of our information from NCGA at ncga.com. A lot of information on the different issues that we're working on from the policy side. Also opportunities for farmers to, participate in grassroots advocacy with their members of Congress, with the administration. And so we certainly welcome growers and others to join us in those efforts.
Absolutely. Well, Kathy, I can't thank you enough for joining us today on Agriculture Today and for providing some insight in this conversation.
Great. Happy to visit anytime. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Once again, that was Kady Bergren. She is the Director of Public Policy for the National Corn Growers Association, providing an update on some policy concerns for them. We're about to cut to a short break, but before we do, a look at a Kansas profile hosted by Ron Wilson. He is the Director of the Huck Boyd National Institute for Rural Development.
This is Kansas Profile. I'm Ron Wilson, Director of the Huck Boyd National Institute for Rural Development at Kansas State University. We deliver the mail. No, I'm not referring to the Postal Service. In this case, mail is spelled M-A-L-E, and it refers to a business which delivers selected male genetics to pork production operations across the Midwest. This same innovative farm family is also pursuing blockchain and Bitcoin mining from its location in rural Kansas. It's today's Kansas Profile. Landon Zoltanko is president and managing partner at Zoltanko Farms and Wildcat Blockchain. His family's farm is in Jewell County, just 1 mile from the Nebraska state line. 5 generations of Landon's family have lived here. The farm became a century farm in 2017. Landon's folks are James and Cheryl Zoltanko. Landon and his wife Melanie have 2 boys, Chandler, who is farming, and Taryn, who is at K-State, where Landon attended as well. For decades, the Zoltankos had a traditional diversified livestock farm raising cattle, crops, and pigs. The hog operation was farrow to finish, meaning that the males or boars were bred to the females or sows, which gave birth to piglets that were then raised to market weight. In 1997, Landon was considering whether to come back to the farm. His parents were trying to decide whether to retire or expand. In December, they received an inquiry from a business named Pig Improvement Company, or PIC. PIC was looking for a location for a 50-head boar stud farm in north-central Kansas. This would be like a racehorse stud farm, only with swine. This company was seeking a place where selected male hogs could be raised to collect semen for artificial insemination of sows by other hog producers. The Zoltankos decided to give it a try. It was a real faith walk, Landon said. He credits Dr. Steve Henry and Lisa Tokash at Abilene Veterinary Hospital for providing key help in starting the operation. By February 1998, the sows were gone, and by May, the boars were here, Lannon said. They developed a process for collecting semen and distributing to other producers and adopted the slogan, "We deliver the mail." Today, Zaltenko Farms has 1,382 boars, most of those in Kansas. Since herd health and biosecurity are so important, their rural location is an advantage. The farm is located 17 miles north of the rural community of Cortland, population 294 people. Now that's rural. For producers seeking maternal traits of good litter size and high milking ability, the large white and landrace breeds are preferred. For those producers who are raising hogs for harvest, Duroc and Berkshire hogs are the breeds of choice. The semen collected from Zaltenko's high-quality boars can serve some 300,000 sows annually. The farm operates 11 delivery routes to hog producers in Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Missouri, Minnesota, and Illinois. Our drivers will put on 1 million miles a year, Lannon said. In 2020, the Zaltenkos decided to pursue an additional, totally different type of enterprise as they looked at the direction of the national economy. I was looking for sound money, Lannon said. They decided to focus on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency or digital money. According to Investopedia, Bitcoin is created, distributed, traded, and stored using a decentralized ledger system called a blockchain. In February 2021, the Zaltenkos set up a business known as Wildcat Blockchain. Bitcoin mining is the process of creating new bitcoins by solving extremely complicated math problems that verify transactions in the currency. This requires high-level computer capacity. We look for substations that have unused electrical capacity and set up Bitcoin data centers there, Lannon said. As these computers solve the math problems, Bitcoin is generated for the discoverers. We have clients from California to Florida, Lannon said. Our greatest success is to positively impact the lives of our team members, our partners, and our community, Lannon said. For more information about the stud farm, see www.zfistud.com. We deliver the mail. In this case, male genetics for leading pork producer operations across the Midwest. We commend Lannon Zaltenko and all those involved with Zaltenko Farms and Wildcat Blockchain for their innovation and entrepreneurship. They definitely deliver. For the Huck Boyd National Institute for Rural Development, this is Ron Wilson with Kansas Profile.
Once again, that was Ron Wilson with Kansas Profile. He is the director of the Huck Boyd National Institute for Rural Development. We'll be back with more ahead on Agriculture Today.
This is Agriculture Today. Along with Samantha Bennett, I'm Jeff Wickman. The Kansas State University Extension Master Gardeners of Johnson County, with its more than 475 members, is the host organization for the International Master Gardener Conference, June 18th through the 22nd in Overland Park. K-State Research and Extension Horticulture Agent for Johnson County, Dennis Patton, says this signature event for master gardeners around the world is held every other year in locations across the U.S. and Canada.
The International Master Gardener Conference has been held since the 80s. It's one of those conferences that rotates around the country, and our master gardeners on and off have gone to the International Master Gardener Conference. So how do we get the conference? Well, the conference was held in 2015 in the Council Bluffs, Omaha area, and we had a large contingency go up to that conference. And as they were sitting around talking, chit-chatting, they said, you know what, we could do this, and I think we could do it better. And that planted the seed for us hosting the International Master Gardener Conference.
So I assume then you started that process right away, or is this something that you do just a few years before each event?
Great question. So after the 2015 International Master Gardener Conference, we were given the opportunity to host the 2017 Midwest Regional Hosta Conference, which ended up attracting about 300 people. And so we decided to use the Hosta Conference as kind of our test run. Is this something we thought our organization could do? We had a great time, overwhelming success with the Hosta Conference. So then in 2018, we submitted our bid to host the 2023 International Master Gardener Conference.
And when did you find out that you officially had the conference?
Right. So we had to submit our bid in 2018 about hotel, where it's going to be held at, kind of an overview agenda of the conference. And then in late winter, spring of 2019, we were notified that we had received the bid for the 2023 conference.
So then you probably also found out that we were in the middle of a pandemic. So how did that play into all of your conference preparations?
Yeah, we've had kind of one curveball thrown at us after another. You know, we had to sign contracts for the hotel, for the convention center in 2019. And then, of course, in early 2020, the pandemic hit, which then forced the 2021 conference to go virtual. Another hiccup that's kind of been thrown in our conference is June 19th is now a national holiday. And now recently we've had to deal with the supply chain issues and inflation. So we felt in many ways like we've kind of been rolling a roller coaster, pandemic, inflation. So we've been really on our toes, but we're very optimistic, hopeful that people are ready to travel and get out and get back together as Master Gardeners across the country and even Canada and England to the 2023 conference.
You mentioned that you have been to one of these international conferences. So what goes on in terms of, I guess, the number of people who come from different countries?
Well, the reason it's called the International Master Gardener Conference is because there are parallel organizations in some of the Canadian provinces, in England with Kew Gardens, and then in South Korea, that have kind of the volunteer program that we call our Master Gardeners, Extension Master Gardeners. And actually, I've been to a couple of international Master Gardener conferences in Canada. So that's how it gets the word international. You know, 98% of the attendees are going to be from the 50 states, but it will have an international flair because we already have 3 people from Toronto registered, and one of our featured speakers is from Kew Gardens in London.
It's one thing we should mention, the registration is up and people can start taking advantage of that.
That's correct. Registration opened November 8th. As you've already kind of figured out, we've been working on this for, over 3 years to make this happen. And, your question earlier was, well, kind of what is the International Master Gardener Conference? And I think the best way to describe it is it's a professional improvement conference. You know, a lot of people go to professional improvement conferences for their work. And this is a conference designed for Master Gardener volunteers to improve their horticulture knowledge. They have a chance to socialize, learn from each other. And the theme of our conference kind of fits that really well. It's celebrate, educate, grow. That's what we're trying to accomplish at the conference.
That's K-State Research and Extension Horticulture Agent for Johnson County, Dennis Patton. To learn more about the International Master Gardener Conference being held June 18th through the 22nd in Overland Park, visit imgc2023.com. And that'll do it for this edition of Agriculture Today. For Samantha Bennett, I'm Jeff Wickman. This is the K-State Radio Network.